running away and dying. But yeah.
Getting chased away by SCVs. Those are pretty scary SCVs. I have to
Hey,
say.
one armor upgrade cuts an SCV's damage output by 20%. That's pretty big.
Okay, so if you are worried about the SCV's damage output, then, as Jshore would recommend, the armor is a potential upgrade for you. But I would still recommend the weapons in case you are going with some kind of Blink Stalker. What else is weapons good for? Well, you know what else weapons is good for is Dark Templar. Normally when you get Dark Templar in play is, that's hard to say. Templar in play. Dark Templar in play is when Terran. Usually, if you're not doing some kind of cheesy rush, if you're playing a macro game, it doesn't usually come into the late game. It's a tier 3 unit. You're not rushing it. You're getting your Nexus. You're getting everything to defend it. You're not going to have Dark Templar in time to defend your natural.
And if it's 20 minutes in and they don't have an armor upgrade, then you have more on your side than, I don't know,
Yeah,
Dark
exactly.
Templar.
Dark Templar are good units. Those are going to be units that you can... Those are like your guerrilla warfare, attack your opponent's economy. Now, normally in the game, as time goes on, Terran's going to get upgrades too. And usually Terran's going to get their 1-1 or 2-2. And it's going to be a little bit slower than the Protoss upgrades because of Chrono Boost and the way we get our upgrades. But a reason that you'd want, again, upgrades with weapons over armor is that Dark Templar are invisible. Ideally, they're not meant to be seen or attacked. If they are, they're kind of dead regardless of their armor and how much they have. And in addition to that, if you have a high enough weapons upgrade on your Dark Templar, they actually will one-shot SCVs rather than two-shot. Because I know that if Terran has an armor upgrade, it'll take 2 shots to kill an SCV, which ultimately sucks. It basically takes twice as long to kill a mineral line, and that's not what you want. Especially like if there's like a medevac in the mineral line and Terran has like SCVs, that mineral line's gonna be like God mode. It's never gonna die because you're gonna hit him. SCV's gonna be repaired to full health before you hit him again. You're like swing. He's gonna be like repair. He's gonna be healing himself and repairing. He's gonna swing again. And it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna not look pretty at all. So we definitely recommend weapon upgrades when you're going some kind of Dark Templar play as well. And that over armor. Of course, if you're going for double forge, you can have both weapons and armor. But it's of course important to note that armor has virtually no effect on Dark Templar. Archons too. What about Archons, Jshore? What about the upgrades for Archons?
Attack, definitely, because for one, they have 10 health. Armor's not going to help you at all.
Are you sure, Jshore? What about the SCVs?
Even then.
Okay.
Even then.
What else is good for your Archons?
Shield upgrades, those are expensive.
Yes, shield upgrades. Why?
Because they have 350 shield health.
Exactly. So shields,
I know this.
Weapon, attack, and shields are your best. But personally, if I had to choose one or the other, ideally, I would choose a shield upgrade. Because Archons, the way I see them, specifically in Protoss vs. Terran, they're mainly your tanks. They're kind of sitting there with the Zealots. Sure, they do decent damage, but they're going to help you tank tons of Marine Marauder fire. And that's kind of their job. You're not really thinking, oh, I got to take out the whatever of Terran, and then we get the Archon. It's
going to focus fire the battle cruisers with these Archons.
Yeah. It's kind of just those are your tanks. It's to supplement enemy fire. While your Colossi, your Storm, your Charge Lots, those will deal the damage at that point in time. Your Blink Stalkers, whatever you have. Blink Stalker is going to be mainly your damage dealers because Archons don't really have the splash that they had in Brood War. So, makes me sad to say it. Archons are not great damage dealers. Sure, they can kill Tier 1, but to justify their cost, I mean, if they couldn't kill Tier 1 Terran, I mean, it would just be another Protoss unit. But anyways, more on that later.
I think Conch Shell has something to say to you then, but that's unrelated again.
Conch Shell, very, very true.
Versus Archons, yeah. Oh wait, that doesn't work anymore.
They're massive.
It doesn't work anymore. They fixed that, so they can't
they
kill
fixed
Tier 1.
that. Before, yeah, I remember the days where like one Marauder could kill an Archon. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't.
Let's compare the costs for a moment here.
300 guests. Okay, we're getting off topic again.
Yes, we are. I think we covered most of PVT in terms of upgrades. What do you think? Is there anything I'm missing?
Huh. Well, I mean, those SCVs.
SCVs are they're pretty good.
As Wum said in the chat, +3 armor zealots take 1 damage from SCVs. So, I mean, if you're going to be using zealot harass, armor good unit.
+3 armor zealots take 1 damage from SCVs. Oh, that's actually good to know.
Mm-hmm.
+3 armor zealots take 1 damage from zealots are greater than DTs. With the exception that zealots are not invisible. I mean, if zealots could be invisible, that would be pretty sick. Just invisible charge lots running around.
Just bring a mothership in, easy.
Yeah, but it's getting removed in Heart of the Swarm, so.
This is also true.
You guys sound like you are stoned, random laughing.
We're not randomly laughing, we're laughing at jokes.
Exactly. But anyways, the only thing we haven't covered is like air upgrades. And personally, I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to go air against Terran unless
it doesn't work. Marines kill everything.
Marines are gonna shoot down everything in the air, even carriers. I've tried. I've had the days where I went mass carrier and lost the Marines. I'm sure you guys remember those days.
That 3v3 game.
3v3 game when I had like 3 carriers, and the one dude just went Marines, and I lost everything. Yes, that happens. So.
Anyways.
I would not consider any air upgrades for the Protoss vs Terran matchup. Well, we could explore that topic in another matchup. But other than that, I think that covers PvT. So to recap real quick on what we've talked about, if your playstyle in versus Terran is very aggressive, if you're going for 2 base Colossus, timing attack, if you rely on Dark Templars to do damage to your opponent's economy, then you're gonna favor the weapons upgrade. But if you're a more defensive macro player like me, and I personally favor this, then you're gonna be getting your armor first, because timings really they only work with your weapon upgrade. And we'll talk more about those timings in again different matchups. But versus Terran, it's kind of suicide nowadays, at least for me. I mean, I don't even have the micro to kill a Marine apparently with the way it heals from medevacs, but it's pretty sad. I prefer to stay back and just macro. I'll kill the Terran when I'm at 200 with 333, and I've got every single unit. And you know why? Because the difference between me killing Terran at the 20-minute versus the 10-minute, my army is going to be different. Their army is going to be the same shit. Their army is going to look exactly the same as the 10-minute mark. The only difference is their upgrades.
A few more units.
Few more units. It's the same thing. But I'm gonna have, I'm gonna have Archons. I'm gonna have Templar. I'm gonna have Sentry, Charge Lot, Blinkstalker, Colossus.
Mothership.
I'm gonna have like 7 different types of units out there. You're gonna have Marine, Marauder, Medevac. Maybe a ghost. Yeah. But that's about it. They're not gonna switch it up. They're not gonna go Thor. They're not gonna go Siege Tank. They're not that smart. They're not gonna try and get into good positioning. They're not gonna do anything creative. And sure, Marine, Marauder, Medevac works in the early game, but come on, late game, it's not getting any better. It hits a brick wall.
And then you get to hear the sweet Protoss OP.
Protoss OP? What do you mean by Marines don't kill Archons and Storm and Colossus? I don't understand. But yes, that's another conversation for another day. Let's move on to Protoss versus Zerg. This is a fantastic matchup. What do you think, Jshore?
It's not a fantastic matchup for me to play. Okay. I do not enjoy it.
When was the last time you played PvZ, Jshore?
Against that bronze in the 1v1 obs a week and a half ago.
Did you lose?
No.
Okay. I had to think there. I didn't remember.
He did like 7-pull me, and I wasn't quite expecting that. So.
Yeah, 7-pull you. That's where you went for the plasma shield upgrades to supplement the Zergling damage. I remember. So that your buildings would take longer to kill, and for your
yeah, I don't remember this.
That makes sense because it'll take them longer to kill your buildings.
So would armor. So would armor.
True. So would armor.
Just after the shields died.
Yeah. So what do you think about PvZ and upgrades? Like, what's the deal with that?
Zerg's gonna get upgrades before you, most likely, because they can afford them sooner. they can double Evo chamber pretty early.
Yep.
So you've got to really watch out for that.
They can go for, depending on their playstyle, they could go for range, they could go for armor. Usually you'll see either range and armor or melee and armor, depending on their playstyle. If they're going mutilating, of course they're going to go melee and armor. But if they're going roach into hydras or anything like that, it's going to be ranged and armor. So as a Protoss player, typically a lot of Protoss nowadays, the whole metagame has been Forge Fast Expands. And you'll have access to that early upgrade yourself. Now, a lot of the hype has been recently is getting a +1 weapons really quickly. And the reason that you'd want this +1 weapons early in the Protoss vs. Zerg matchup is because the Zealots will two-shot the Zergling. And this is especially important because early on in the game, that's pretty much all you're going to have. It's just going to be Zealots on the field, it's just going to be Zerglings on the field. And that sets you up for an aggressive timing attack. And why are timing attacks important in PvZ, Jshore?
Because if you leave Zerg alone, they'll be maxed with nothing but roaches and Zerglings at 13 minutes. Ask Warlock.
Yes, they'll have tons of time. They'll have the entire map. They'll just make tons of drones. You want to prevent them from just droning up. And you want to get in their face. You want to get your Zealots up there. So you want to be seeking out these timing attacks. There's a lot more than just a Zealot one. But the +1 Zealot timing is something that a lot of players have been doing lately. They'll warp in. They'll send out 2 Zealots from their gateway. They'll get a proxy pylon set up. They'll warp in like 4 more Zealots, and they'll go with the +1. And it's extremely cost effective. It's going to two-shot the Zerglings. It's going to take out the drones pretty easy. It's going to kill the queens. It's basically will do enough damage until the Zerg gets roaches out. Now, once the Zerg gets roaches out, what do you think the next move is from the Protoss player?
Run.
Yeah, and what about at home? What do you think he's going to do? What tech path will he choose?
Something tier 3. If it's early, Stargate.
Okay.
And then probably Colossi.
Yep. Depending on how the player will react, usually they'll follow it up with a robotics going into either Immortals and or Colossus. And this is really good because, again, as we were talking about, weapon upgrades is extremely strong on Immortals. It boosts it by another 5 damage. And really strong on Colossus because of the fact that it attacks twice with the AoE, I guess, and as we were mentioning before. And the fact that we already got the weapons prior to that with the Zealots means that we have an upgraded version of the robotics, so it kind of complements the entire build. He's going roaches, we'll get the robotics, because the weapon upgrade will be favorable with the robotics even more so than, let's say, the Stargate, which really wouldn't have any effect on with our weapons upgrade.
Well, plus, at that point, you just got a completely different upgrade path, so be kind of out of the way.
Yep, exactly. So in that case, we would kind of favor the robotics over the Stargate in terms of dealing with something like the roaches. So that's one way to look at it. What about armor? We just talked about weapons. What about when is armor a good time? When do we think about getting armor rather than weapons?
You just have so many heavy hitters in PvZ that weapons are probably the most important.
Yep, very true.
What am I hearing?
Probably yourself talking.
No, it was like it's like you were attacking your mic with a saw or something.
I was not attacking my mic with the saw, Jshore.
Okay. That's what it sounded like. But yeah, I don't know, just attack upgrades.
Can we get confirmation in chat if there was a saw attacking my microphone?
They wouldn't hear you. Wait, they would hear you.
How would they not? If they can't hear me, they would only hear you, and then we would have no viewers.
This is true. I'm just here to provide.
You would be talking to yourself, and nobody would hear.
I don't even know why I'm here. Why am I here?
To provide intellectual commentary alongside me.
Oh yeah.
Unless you forgot. Wait, why am I here? How did I get here? Jshore. Bombology, can you remind Jshore why he's here?
He doesn't know either. He asked on the first time.
Oh yeah.
And he's also gone.
Okay, he's gone. We'll figure it out later when we post it up.
He didn't know why I was here, so he left.
It's like, why is Jshore here? But yeah, we do have a lot of heavy hitters in PvZ, but I think using what we talked about in Protoss vs. Terran, I think an ideal timing to use armor is when we're macroing up and playing defensively. Now, Jshore, top of your head, PvZ, when are we macroing up and playing defensively?